Yes, Mids Talks has arrived. I'm super excited about this, first of all. For all of you guys tuning in, thank you so much. For everyone that I hope subscribes, thank you so much. This has been something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm super happy to be able to bring it to life. All right, so this episode is going to be focusing on a bit about an introduction. This is going to tell you a bit about who I am, and then also followed by what you can expect every single week from Mitz Talks. Man, let me just tell you something. Thinking about where I've gotten today in regards to making this happen, that's a journey within itself. But I'm going to get into all that, right? I'm going to get into all that 100%. But who I am. So my name is Elvis. Born and raised New York City, specifically in Dyckman. I grew up in Washington Heights, Dyckman. Both my mom and dad are from Dominican Republic. I'm first generation, and my parents. I have two brothers, and I have a half sister, and two half sisters, and another half brother. So that leads you to know that my parents got divorced when I was 11 years old in 1988. So something else a little bit about myself. Why is my name Elvis? That's an interesting name, and I always like to share that story with people. So I was born a week after Elvis Presley passed away, and my mother was a big Elvis Presley fan. Henceforth came Elvis. So that gives a little bit more fun fact about myself. So went to Catholic school. I am another thing about myself with my siblings is I have a fraternal twin brother who is 10 minutes older than me, and we look absolutely nothing alike, nothing at all. I also have a 15-year-old son who is my heart and soul, and I am definitely about being a very active and involved father. One thing to kind of shed a little bit more light in, as you can expect later on down the road, is I am also divorced. So being a father and raising my 15-year-old son with two separated parents. So going from there, what else are you going to hear from Miss Talks? Miss Talks is going to be really truly focusing on mental health, physical health, and life health. I'm going to tell you about not only why I'm talking about these things and through my experiences, in my opinion, but also I'm going to go ahead and start bringing some guests down the road. And these are individuals that I've met that have impacted me, that have inspired me, that I find to be truly, at the end of the day, beyond inspirational. And their journeys and and their success. So a big part of it is, as you heard me talk about a few minutes ago, coming from divorced parents, being divorced myself, and then going through that process to be where I am today. Another thing I'm going to talk to you about when I talk about physical health is an individual like me that struggled with my weight pretty much as a teenager. I can tell you that I went from highs to lows. I was extremely heavy. Then I lost weight. Then I gained weight. Then I lost weight. And I went through diets for a while. And then a lot of them didn't stick because there was a constant back and forth and back and forth. But what I can tell you about the success is that about 2.5 years ago, I got heavy into fitness. I made a decision, so I'm gonna get into working out. And I did the classic mentality that most people go through. I'm gonna join the gym. I'm gonna look at what I've seen on YouTube. I'm gonna look at what I've heard from friends, and then I'm gonna get to my goal. That didn't happen, not at all. So I worked out like a beast. I went from 0 to 100. I had the luxury that many people don't, where I had a gym literally right next door to my job. So I made the conscious decision, which I have been very successful in going to the gym every single day on my lunch break. Sometimes in the morning, also to do double workouts. But after 2.5 years, I wasn't seeing the change. Insane enough as it might be, I even went to fitness studios like Fitty Room, Soul Cycle, Flywheel, Rip Fitness, Tone House, Rumble. I mean, that's just a few of them that I can think of off the top of the head. And when I was going through all these gyms, I swear to you, I thought I was gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone, and nope, reality check, I was not looking it. I did not look the role based off of all the work I was putting in. I had a friend of mine come up to me in January, and this is going to tie into my physical health, where he was like, hey man, maybe you want to take a moment and learn about the basics of nutrition. I know this program I can recommend to you. Why don't you try it out? And then I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll look into this. And got into the program, and in about 5.5 months, maybe 6, I've lost over 70 pounds. And now I'm no longer looking to lose weight, but I'm actually I've just been focusing on toning. I'm not doing the classic thing of just lifting weights and picking them up and putting them down, but understanding what it is that I'm doing, the different methods to be able to work out, and then balancing that with nutrition. You'll hear it, you've heard it. If you haven't heard it, this is me telling you, it's 80-20, guys. 80% nutrition, 20% working out. But before any of that, it's the mental unlock and the commitment to be able to get to what you want to get after. But again, that's going to come a little bit more down the road as I plan to hit all these points. So with some of the things that I want to kind of really shine a little bit more light about is really every week, what are you going to get out for subscribing and for being on Mitts Talks is you're going to see that I'm like everybody else. We're all humans, and some of us go through struggles in our lives. And this is the life part of Mitts Talks, where people in society have a tendency to allow ourselves to default to negativity. I am an extremely positive person. Everyone has always said that about me since I can remember. I believe there's always beauty in anything, even in the most difficult situations. And some of you might say, nah, that's not true, that's bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. It's about you taking the moment and not falling into the negative mindset. When you strive to do something and you don't get it, do you just say, oh man, it wasn't meant for me? Or do you say, how do I bounce back from this? You know, if you're sitting there and you're going for a job and you didn't obtain it and you didn't succeed in something, not sitting there and saying, damn, I didn't get it, but sit there and say, how far did I go with it? Or now that I know I didn't get it, how do I change the switch in my mind to be able to get it next time? Where is it that you have the self-reflection? And then life, love. As I said, you know, I was married. I believe in love. Unfortunately, that did not work out. But unfortunately and fortunately, right? Because who I am today is through that lesson, through that experience. Out of that, I have a beautiful son, and I've been able to help impact my ex-stepson. I don't know if that's the right term, but if it is or if it isn't, happy to be able to be involved in his life, and then also embrace his father as a close friend of mine, which many people can sit there and say, that's a little weird. Like, I don't really know how that works. I'm going to share that story with you. I'm going to share those stories with you. Hopefully I'm going to be able to bring some of these individuals on so you can kind of hear our stories and our journey and hopefully take something out of this. Mitts Talks is truly focused on being a resource for individuals, not only from a corner of positivity, but from an ability to understand what can I take out of this and how can I apply it to my own life. I think a lot of times when I went through things, and I love the fact that family and friends were trying to always be there for me, I didn't feel like they really understood. I didn't feel like they could understand, and I pushed them away, and I felt like, let me just kind of figure out how this works on my own, but it wasn't working out. I made all the wrong choices in certain times in my life. And I think that if I had known that there were resources like what I'm trying to put out there now, it would have helped. So that's the point of what I'm doing with this. It's paving it forward for people who've been there for me. It's being able to sit there and say, there is a better version of yourself from a fitness perspective as long as you change your mindset to be able to get after that. There is solutions to life struggles if you take a moment to look at it and say, where is it that I can find that solution? Might it be personal, might it be professional, no matter what, I promise you that I will share that, and I will give you suggestions, and I will give you resources for you to be able to find those things. And then again, the other part of it is from the mental perspective, right? At one point, and again, we're all human, I went through a period of time where I had gone through depression, and that's not where I'm at now, but I think the big part of it for me is talking about, how did I get through it? How can you get through it if you're going through it now? And then not feeling like the world is shattered and you're destroyed, but thinking about, what resources are available for me to be able to kind of like turn that switch, even if I am that resource for you. But also at the same time, how can you within yourself not default to the negative or wrong decisions? I read in a book once that majority of the time when people fall into depression, they pretty much self-medicate. And that could be either through some form of substance abuse like alcohol or drugs, or if they're smoking and they amplify that, if they were social drinkers and they became big social drinkers as a dependency to be able to deal with it. That's not the solution to the problem. You can potentially be someone that wants to turn around and say, hey, instead of you sitting there and saying, let me consume more alcohol, or let me smoke more cigarettes, or let me do the wrong choice in regards to some form of a substance abuse, maybe you can turn around and go ahead and say, let me go to the gym more. I'm also going to talk about love and relationships and taking time to take care of yourself, not just kind of keep putting yourself out there. I know many people that I've come across in my life that come out of bad relationships and they keep jumping into another one, into another one, into another one. Stop. You need to take a moment to take care of yourself. And that's something else I'm going to elaborate on in future episodes. But that's something that I want you guys to understand. You can't keep trying to change, be involved in a relationship, or try to find happiness through another until you find happiness within yourself. You have to take care of home base. And that's something else. That's something someone invested that in time in me. And that's where I got to today. So look forward to that kind of information. Look forward to that kind of testimonial, for my own. But again, I really am focusing on trying to make this something different than what you've seen out there. There's a lot of people who are motivational speakers. There's a lot of individuals that talk about fitness. There's a lot of individuals that talk about health. But the one thing you can get from me, that you can understand from this channel, is that I'm going to be real, but I'm also going to tell you, what is it, how can you get through it from a positive perspective? Have a bad day? Shit, so does a lot of people. But how do you think about the mindset to change that, to say the positivity? Got out of a bad relationship? I get it. But is there a time where you can sit there and say, you got out of this relationship and there may be something better on the other side? And I think we have to think about that in our life. Some of the people that I really am excited to bring on down the road are individuals that have been impactful to me. People who have helped me from a health perspective, from a mental perspective, and also providing a positivity. I think when you look at these things, we sometimes don't take the time to appreciate that. So people have always told me, and I want to tell you this from my perspective, that I'm thankful for is the ability to help others. People have referred to me as being inspirational and helpful and influential. And I will tell you that I've met a lot of people who've done that for me. So if there's anything out of this, I want to thank them. And I want to be able to kind of give this opportunity to help that other person from a wider scale. And I don't think I've ever had that ability to do it into this magnitude. So with that said, please stay tuned. Please subscribe. Please, share insight on things you want to talk about that maybe I haven't touched on or that you haven't heard yet through one of my videos or this video. But understand something, I will be out there giving 110% every single week. And if you want to see more of it versus just once a week, I'm open to that. But just again, let me know what I can do that you want to talk about. But Mitts Talks is literally going to change the game. So stay tuned and we'll talk more. All the best. And remember, stay positive because you never know who you might impact with your positivity.